Hello there, kids. Today, on the old camera review type of channel thing, hosted by yours truly, we're going to be taking a look at the Argus C3, also known as the Brick. And if you don't see why this is called the Brick, I don't want you to build anything having to do with bricks, because you're probably unfamiliar with their shape, and you will get confused. Now, this is a mid-50s vintage, or at least mine is. These were made for a number of years and were quite popular among amateur and entry-level photographers of the day. I suppose anyone who simply wanted to take some 35mm pictures. Now, I guess we'll start front to back to try to have some semblance of order. So start with the lens. It's called an Argus Centaur lens. I'm sure it's just their brand name. Opens up to 3.5 with a fantastic super multi-bladed aperture of, like, seriously, it's a lot of blades. I haven't counted, but that's a lot. And it says it's coated. Ooh, and it's 50mm focal length, which is just fine by me. Now, it turns out my unit was not calibrated. The focus was not calibrated, and I didn't know that. So I had a really nasty surprise at the end of the first roll, and a lot of really cool pictures weren't in focus. But moving on, it's coupled to the focus dial, I suppose you could call it, by this intermediary gear, and that's really cool. I love that feature. There's a lot of gears and things going on, and you can see there's a window inside this range dial, as it were, and the yellow glass in there is what you can see in here, or maybe it's on the same plane, but basically that is your focusing window that you're seeing it coupled to there. And here is your composing window, so you focus in one and compose in the other, and then you take your picture. And onto the actual I'm taking the picture. Onto the actual picture taking, it's a front cock shutter, leaf shutter. That's pretty strange for most designs that you probably are familiar with. And here's where you control your shutter speeds. You have 300, 100, 50, 25, and if you push it a little harder, yeah, you can, oh, I overdid it. You slide it to 10. It's pretty simple. I know it's a relatively robust mechanism, or at least I can be fairly sure. There's the 10. You also have bulb exposure, and as you might guess, this camera is great for taking double exposures. All you have to do is push it down once, first exposure, push it down again, second exposure, or go to bulb for as long as you want. Now, the problem with that, and the Kodak 35RF I reviewed has a fix for that problem, is that there's no way of remembering, really, unless you have your workflow really down pat, whether you've advanced and taken the picture, or whether you're not advanced. It's kind of just hard to remember, and I'll explain why this is. Now, let's open the back up here, and look at this latch. That's just a little piece of metal, bend the piece of metal, bend it, I like that stuff, I like it. Here's the interior, fairly simple. Film goes from right to left, a little bit uncommon these days, but seemed to be fairly common back in the day now that I think about it. Here's your rewind lever. Now, this is a quote-unquote stop style of advance, which is just what I call it, and what that means is that if you take a picture, you cock it, you set everything up, you take your picture, and the way it advances is you wind this left knob, it pulls the film across this sprocket tooth here, pulls the film across, pull it across, and after it rotates a certain amount, it stops. So you take your picture, and then to get your next frame, you push this little plunger in, it allows this to unlock, let go, and it rolls over another amount. And that amount is the frame's width, and you have a new one in place. So in practice, you have to take, push, wind, stop, take, push, wind, wait till it stops, take. And it can get a little confusing. I double exposed one or two and scared myself something real good when I was worried about double exposing others. It's built great, it's shiny all over the place, which is kind of fun. People give you insane looks. There's obviously no metering here. And look at that flash coupling. I don't even know what that is. To control the aperture too, a little bit archaic, you spin this dial on the very front of the camera. So, guess leave it in, pick your aperture, leave it there, and shutter priority, except you have to be on the front of the camera for that too. So, it's old, it's kind of clunky to use, but it is solid, and it takes pretty good pictures when the focus is actually correct, which it wasn't for most, but I got lucky with a few. That is the Argus C3. Cheap, cheerful, what a beautiful piece. Till next time.